what type of data do you prioritize, and where are you going to get this data?
We prioritize the prices of assets. Like that is really, that's it. I mean, it's just the prices of assets. We get the data from different sources. So we get our data from the New York Stock Exchange, from the NASDAQ, from the Malaysia Bursa when we're looking at Malaysian stocks, because we're looking at individual equities in other countries, in the National Stock Exchange in India, for example. Some data is easier to get than others. Quandl is a great website that we use. I think they were acquired by somebody, maybe the NASDAQ or something. Somebody else owns them now, and they have a bunch of data sets that you could buy, and you can, we use Optima for our data visualization, so you can bring in data from Bloomberg or from, I'm looking at it right now. I'll tell you right now, you could bring in the data from, the American Futures Exchange, the Asian futures, we bring in our cryptocurrency, all that stuff. We've got, so I use CryptoWatch, I use Fred, I use MT4. I can't imagine for what, but I'm sure I use it for something. eSignal I use for intraday data, and I use Owanda for something. I'm not really sure what I use that for, but those are my data sources. But you can connect to a whole bunch of others.
And how do you prevent information and data overload? So how important is it for you to filter out what you're looking at and say, this is what I want to be looking at day in, day out? How important is that for you and that process, for other traders out there?
No, that's a great point. And, I think that the multiple timeframes is really helpful for that. So at the beginning of every month, we get new monthly candlesticks, right? These are new monthly data sets. There's only 12 data points a year. So what that allows, and so that I would encourage everybody to do this, take whatever you think are the most important assets in the world, the 50 most important assets in the world, 100, 20, whatever. Everybody's different. For me, I'm like at 100, 120. And look at the monthly charts, because we know asset prices trend. We know the long-term trends are the most dominant of all of those trends. And looking at these longer-term monthly candles not only helps us identify these longer-term structural trends, it forces us to, because it makes you zoom out. So it's very easy, even myself, all of us, what did the Dow do today? What did the Yellen say? Oh, the rates and the this and the that. But once a month, you take a step back. You take a big, deep breath. And if you come back home, right? I don't know if you do yoga, but people who do yoga, right? When you start thinking about all kinds of crazy stuff, you want to come back to your breathing. Just think about your breathing, right? It brings you back home when your mind is going crazy. It brings you back home. These monthly candles is like that, right? It brings you back home. Oh, yeah, that's right. This one's been going up for a long time. Oh, yeah, this one's been going down for a long time. Oh, this one's still a mess, It reminds you of forces you. So pick whatever group. And if you don't have your list, email me. I'll send you my list, right? Because my list it's not going to be exactly what your list might be, but it'll get you pretty close. I mean, U.S. 10-year yield, 30-year yield, S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, Dow Jones Industrial Average, Dow Jones Transportation Average, Russell 2000, German DAX, Japanese Nikkei, the Emerging Markets ETF, gold, silver, crude oil, copper, right? Like just common sense, like just, the most important bellwethers, JP Morgan, Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, the bellwethers of this market, Freeport McMoran, the Latin America ETF. Like, my list, it might not, you might think that some things are important that I don't care about. And I'm going to think about some things that I think are important that you're not going to care about. But my list is a pretty good starting point, but like make your own, like use common sense, so like that's really how I think of how to avoid the noise. How do you avoid data overload? It's by coming back home. And then once a week, I look at all the weekly charts. So like I'm looking at every country around the world. Doesn't take me very long on a weekly time frame. Every currency around the world on a weekly time frame. And within reason, not literally every country. Like, you don't have to maybe look at the Kampachi 30 index, if you don't care about Pakistan, but it's in my list. Like you can just keep it real for yourself. In the case of the sectors, there's only 11 sectors. So 11 weekly charts, a handful of indexes, about 20 charts will tell me right away on a weekly basis what the U.S. stock market did in 20 charts. I'm a little OCD and I do this for a living, so I'm looking at more than that. But at the very minimum, You look at your 100 monthly charts once a month. You look at your, 20, 30 weekly charts once a week. Like that alone might take you half an hour a month, maybe. So that is half an hour a month. That's 6 hours per year. That is going to infinitely help you in your process. And find me a better use for 6 hours in your year. You can't. I've thought about it myself. I can't.